So hello everyone, in this video we will be creating this effect which would work on scroll or on hover. So I'll show both of them. So this one is hover effect. When on hover it shows all this stuff. I will also show how to create for only 3 of them. And then this one is for on scroll. You could see on scroll it goes up and down. Same for the 3 of them like this. This is actually a part of my template, a paid template. So I've already created videos for this hero section which changes on this one and autoplay. I've already created video on this one. I already created a video on this one. This is what we will be making today. The next video is going to be this one, like de-stacking cards. Then we got this one for the future videos and a button which basically fills up from wherever you move your mouse. Let's see. So this is actually going to be from my template that you could get. It would be called number 3. I haven't uploaded yet. So right now I have animated landing page number 1, number 2, and this one would be number 3, this page. That would be for $5, and you could also get all 3 for $10. So I will be also creating another bundle which would have all 3 for $10. So it's your choice, or you could just make it yourself by following the tutorial. One important thing about this section is that it is only for desktop. Okay, we cannot do this effect for mobile because there's like so much stuff happening, right? So for example, if I go and if I go down, if I do this again, you can actually control the size and all. Okay, so even if it looks like this, you could see for mobile and desktop it simply just shows in a grid fashion like this. So just keep that in mind because we do not have enough space in mobile and tablet. So I've only created this for desktop. I will be linking this page called grid reveal effect on my description. This would contain the code. I haven't changed like all this stuff, but it will be updated for you guys. This one would basically contain like all the code for all this effect, and I'll explain how to customize the code and all what it does. So it is pretty easy to make. So first let's create our layout. I'm just going to make it 100 VH, and inside of this I will add my grid, my container, and this container would be actually a grid. So we'll change the container layout from flexbox to grid. This way we can just place 3 of them very easily. So in this grid we will add 6 containers. So this is the first one, and basically give it any color that you want. So I'm just going to add 6 of them, and the last one I'm just going to make a black. In this container at the end I will add an HTML widget and basically make it be hidden. So in responsiveness I'll make it hidden so it takes like no space at all. So let's go to grid level. Let's copy the DM grid card wrapper. Let's copy this and give it to a grid. Let's copy the DM grid card and give it to all our containers. So I should have probably just let's just delete everything so that I don't have to paste it like again and again. So I've given this DM grid card, and now I'll just duplicate it 6 more times. That way each one now has the CSS class DM grid card, like all 6 of them. And this one I'll just make it black. So let's go to a grid and give it like 100 VH of height. This is how it looks. Now this all comes down to your preference. If you want to give pixels, if you want to give VH, it just comes down to your preference how you want it to look. And in this container I'll just give some padding to make it look presentable. Maybe this grid doesn't have to be this big. Maybe let's do 80 VH. Okay, there we go. Now in this HTML widget I'll just copy this code and paste it, and let's see if it even works. So let's go and do preview. And you could see it does work. It's all same colors, right? So I'm just quickly going to change the colors, and you can see it works perfectly. This one is on top always. If you want different one to be top, you could actually go in here and maybe give higher padding. So for example, this one I want to be at top, so I gave 5 padding, and now you could see the green one is at the top. I prefer it to be the black color last one, so I'll just keep it normal. One thing is in the code, so let me quickly explain. This is like the first basic one, so it's very easy to make. It's all CSS, and what we are doing is we are giving position absolute. That is same as going in here, giving position absolute like this. But because there are lots of them, I just added via code. So whichever you give DM grid card, it will basically give position absolute. That way we don't have to control, each individual one by one. We can just control all 6 together. Then minimum height, I have given calculate 50% minus 20 pixel. Now because we're using position absolute, right? It doesn't take the size in consideration. So if I want it to be, perfectly this much size, like perfectly 50% like this, I need to use some code. And what I've said is that be 50% of this container, like be 50% of this container and minus 20. That way there's a gap of like minus 20, minus 20. So there's 40 pixels of gap between each one of them like this. So if you change this to like say 10, it would take less space. If you do 0, then it would take like no space. That is same as saying be 50%. So if I do, let's say 0 and let's do publish, 50% minus 0 is like 50%, right? So let's see, only for the height, right? Yeah, only for the height. So you could see all of them are now touching. So because we're using position absolute, and when we give position absolute, they do not take any space, right? So they don't know, the contents do not know like where is the other content, so that I can space myself away from it or something like that. So we use this calculation. Same for the width, 33.3. So 33.3, 33.3, 33.3, that's like 100%. And I've done minus 20. So be 33% minus 20, and that way we get 40 pixels of gap between each other. And rest of this is just moving them to the accurate sizes. So this, you could say nth child 1, nth child 2, nth child 2, nth child 3. That is simply but just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And one more thing is, you do not have to hover on this text. Like you do not have to hover on the first one. You have to hover on this container, like this grid container, and then it starts working. This is important because if I, let's say, made it to be hover on this one, then if I'm making my mouse around here, it goes outside my mouse, right? So let's say if I move my mouse here, it will go outside my mouse cursor like this, you could see. So it will just not scale fully. That's why it's better to give it to this whole container, and it's also good for accessibility. That way people don't have to get in the middle. Now for the second one, I'm actually going to save this around here, because then we can use this same layout for the scroll, right? I'm just going to duplicate this. I don't know, I'll just make it 2, and in here, instead of using 4 of them, we will just remove 3 of them. So let's remove 3, and we only have 3. All we need to do is the same stuff, just change everything to be like DM grid wrapper 2, DM grid wrapper 2, DM grid 2. So every one of them would have DM grid 2, like DM grid card 2, DM grid card 2, DM grid card 2. Also make this grid have only one column or one row, sorry, because it's now this big. You could even turn this to pixels if you like it. It just comes down to like, again, your preference. Why am I not able to move this? Okay, there we go. And let's just copy this code, paste in HTML. Again, you could even see I've set it to be like minimum width 1025 pixels. So anything below 1025 pixel would not be able to do this effect. And that is like what the responsiveness is used by Elementor. And you could see all I had to do was change the code around here. Now for the scrolling effect, let's go to 2B. Everything is just need to be changed to like -3. Okay, so again, DM grid wrapper 3. Let's give it, I'm going to work on the 6th one. Okay, 6 stuff one. So DM grid wrapper 3, DM grid 3, give it to all the containers. And we got this. Now let's just copy the code, HTML, paste it. Let's do preview. It is looking a bit weird, and you'd see there's some issue that is happening. It is already starting and it's ending quickly because I forgot to add one more stuff in here, which is called DM grid main wrapper 3. So DM grid main wrapper 3, let's copy this. Let's go and give it to the container wrapper. Okay, not the grid. Okay, so this one is called DM grid wrapper, but this container is the DM grid main wrapper 3. Because what this does is that it gets sticky. So this part gets sticky on top until the animation finishes. Once the animation is finished, it stops getting sticky. So if I go down, why is it still not working? Okay, so I found the issue. I accidentally copied this wrong. It should be DM. I only copied M. And this container is going to be the one that gets stick, so nothing happens. As soon as this container, so I should actually make it, grayish color so that you guys can see. So you can see as soon as this green color touches around here, it sticks to this one, and then it will wait for the animation to complete, and then it will stop sticking. And that's how it works. So the only difference between the hover effect and the normal one is this container having a CSS class DM grid main wrapper 3 like this. Now for the next one, let's just make it different color. So let's give it like pink color, and let's give it, so for this one we will copy DM grid wrapper 4, give it to our grid container. This one we will copy DM grid card 4, give it to all our cards, which are only 3. And then I'll add this. So DM grid card main wrapper 4, I'll update around here later if I remember. And let's give it to our main container. So this one gets sticky around here, and then the animation starts. So if you want, you can make it be at the center like this. Then we will go in here and copy this code, give it to our HTML and paste it like this. I also made it be in center so it looks better. Let's do publish. If I scroll down, it gets sticky and then a bit glitchy, right? And the reason for that is simply refreshing and caching. So whenever bugs like this happen, it's usually cache. Okay, so you could see it is bugging. So let's do web page instead and see. Let's do comma. This is kind of annoying whenever like you have to play with like caching and see what's messing up. Let's try an incognito. This is kind of annoying, like just working with finding if it's bugging in all pages or not. So let's see if it works. Okay, now here's what I did to fix it, and this might actually help you a lot in projects. So if you check the code right now, is it, let me just copy the code, whichever. Okay, in this one for like the 2a and 2b, if you go to the script, I have this code and I have this code. So because it's a forward slash, double forward slash, it means that this one is not running and this one is not running. And if you remove the double forward slash here and remove the double forward slash here, what this means is that we have activated this code and we have activated this code. And what this code is basically that only run this code when the whole page is loaded. So when it's spinning and it stops spinning, then this code runs. And it is important sometimes because it removes the testing, or it removes the scroll trigger bugs basically. So it knows that okay, this is around here. For example, if above there's like images and all, then it kind of messes with scroll trigger because it cannot calculate where it starts. So that's at that time, simply just remove the forward slashes that are present around here like this and at the end, and that way this code would only run when the whole page loads, and that would fix the issues like this. So let's quickly learn some customization if it's available. So the customization is like same as what I showed for the 1a. This is for the height. Just check the 1a part. I go over it like very fast, and even the width, it's the same stuff. Okay, 1a and 1b part in this video, and same for this one too. For minimum height, I've set it to be 400 pixels. So you could go in here, and instead of setting it around here, I've set it via the code. That way you don't have to go into each individual one and basically just change it from here. So if I do 500, 700, it just changes for every single one of them. Rest is this plus 100%. What this means is that how much scrolling is required. So if you make this to be 200%, more scroll is required. If you make this to be lower, less scroll is required. Okay, I think that's all it's needed. It's same for like 2A and 2B. Okay, so yeah, that's all for this video. Get the template from the website, get all three for $10 or just get one for $5. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.